You know, this whole thing has been very, very upsetting. This whole thing has been very, very upsetting. And now it has led into my daughter disconnecting, just completely disconnecting from me. And I swear to God, it's got this feeling where it was a setup. It was framed, basically. Uh, my question has been, I'm going to try to explain this, and I'm especially aiming this at my daughter. And no, I'm not going to smear you all over line. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to broadcast all your secrets. You're my daughter. I'm not going to do that. I was just mad. But I've really gave this some more thought, and I'm just, it all comes back down to the question, why did I need to know about it? I'm going to explain this again because I'm picking it apart, and I'm looking for motives, and I'm thinking, okay, why did I need to know about that? About the fact that I hurt Jesse's feelings. Maybe I should apologize for my previous videos making fun of Jesse, okay? Maybe I should apologize for that, but what good is that going to do? Uh, so here it is, what? It's March. It's been a month and a half, is it, since we had Jerry's funeral, and we're finally getting wind of this. So I'm at my job on Friday, and my daughter needs to talk to me. And my client was out of town, so I was able to talk to her on the phone. And this is something I find really interesting. Let me get this. I'm saying that the whole thing sounds like a setup because you see this? Why did Janessa give this to me? You know, this is a camcorder that I can use on my videos. Right now I'm using this little puny little camera. But look at how much more sophisticated this thing would be to use for my videos. Everybody knows about my gossip column clear back from '09, and then I have resurrected it, talking about Deanna, and nobody seemed to object to me talking about Deanna. But the whole time we know that, and Janessa even admitted that she is on Facebook friends with Deanna, with Jan, with who knows who else in the family. And she explained it to us that she's not really in good with them, but she's just kind of spying on them, and every once in a while she's got to put a positive comment on there somewhere, or like people's comments or their videos or whatever, just to keep in good with them. But she won't let me on her site. She's very restrictive about who she's going to let on there, which I find suspicious to begin with. Janessa has things set up in such a way that it makes her look very guilty, first of all. So when this thing happened at Jerry's funeral, his memorial, whatever you want to call it, it's been a month and a half since then. And so why is this just now coming up? And then what I want to bring up is the timing. Timing is everything. I'm at my job on Friday and my daughter needs to talk to me. So we start talking and it's, casual conversation about whatever. And then she brings up this topic. I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I guess she told me that I would probably get mad, but then I would need some time to think about it or whatever she said. I needed to process it or whatever. And the thing was, my daughter had contemplated, waited out about whether or not she should even tell me at all. And what she's telling me is that she had just talked to Janessa, and Janessa made a request. She wanted, now listen to this. This is very precise, very pointed, and it's also got a big question mark, which I'm going to explain. Janessa tells Angela to specifically request that I put Jerry's obit up on my sites. Now, I have 3 sites that I know that our enemy family is watching. Jan, Deanna, Linda, the Wilsons, whoever else, right? Linda, clear out there in Ohio. They're all buddied up on those sites, And they all know about me. I've poked them or whatever. I've gotten their attention, so they've seen me on there. They know I'm not going by my real name because I don't have to. But timing. Janessa tells Angela, hey, tell your mom to put Jerry's obit up on her site. In the same conversation with Janessa, with Angela, Janessa is telling Angela about what happened at Jerry's funeral, in that I upset Jesse. Both of those things came up in her conversation to Angela Friday morning, and we had a big long conversation about it. Angela and I did. And the whole time that Angela was talking to me about this thing with Jesse, she was correcting me and disciplining me, pointing out my faults in that I wasn't watching my mouth. So obviously I took offense to that right off the bat. Who likes to have their faults pointed out? Do you? I don't know anybody that likes to have their faults magnified and looked under a microscope, especially when you don't even realize that you did something you weren't supposed to do when you were doing it. I didn't realize that I was hurting Jesse. I don't even know if you can call it hurting Jesse's feelings. Jesse took offense to it. I didn't hurt his feelings. He got mad and he took offense to what I said. You see, Janessa knows that I've been doing these videos for years in protest against Deanna because of what she did to Jerry. Because how she was trying to kick Jerry out of Mom and Dad's house, and I didn't agree with that. Janessa has everybody in the family, all of the enemy family on her site, on her Facebook site. But yet she wanted me to put Jerry's obit on my site, not hers. Let that sink in. So Angela and I are talking, and she kept having to answer her phone, and we'd get back on and talk. And I got to thinking about it, and I was thinking, okay, I ought to apologize to Jesse. Tell Janessa to tell Jesse I'm sorry. I'm sending an apology. So I get a text back from Angela, and the text is saying, where's my phone? I don't think I have it. It's telling Janessa, no, Janessa has just told Angela that she understands exactly where I'm coming from, but you see, she can't tell Jesse that I apologize because Jesse doesn't know that she told Angela. That sounds very fishy to me. It sounds very shady to me. Jesse doesn't know. Isn't it Jesse that should be speaking up for himself here? So she tells Angela about this thing with Jesse and this thing that I did at the funeral, and she's dumped this in Angela's lap. And so Angela is left with this decision. Should I pass this on to my mom? What if this makes my mom mad? Now, how am I going to present this to my mom so that she doesn't get mad? Because nobody likes to have their faults pointed out, and nobody likes to be told, well, you should have watched your mouth. Next time you should watch your mouth better. Next time you should consider the other person's feelings. Next time you need to bridle your tongue. You know, next time you're around Jesse, you need to be more mindful of his feelings. I was never around Jesse enough to know what kind of person he was. Sure, I knew he was quiet, but I didn't realize he was an introvert. I didn't know that. I was just having conversation with him, and what I said to him, I was just passing on what Janessa had told me at Quinn's birthday party, that Jesse wasn't as involved with his dad as he used to be. So back to this point, Janessa tells Angela, dumps all this information in Angela's lap, and so Angela has to decide whether or not she's going to tell me about it. And whether or not her and Janessa discussed that, I don't know. But this is what Janessa gave me at Jerry's funeral. You know how outdated this thing is? I don't even know if I can find the parts for it on Marketplace or whatever. I don't know how expensive it is to run one of these. That'd be perfect for my gossip column, which I can have a gossip column if I want. Are you going to try to stop me? It's how I vent, and it's also how I explain things, and it's also how I defend myself. Evidently, Angela rolled it around in her head and decided that she was going to go ahead and tell me. I think that Angela was a little bit presumptuous about that, because everybody knows that I do these videos. It's no secret. I do these videos. I show people up. And that's how it is. And that's how it's going to stay. You piss me off and I'm going to put you on here. But I will say this. Angela, I'm not going to expose all of your secrets. I'm not going to do that to you. I did that to Deanna, but I'm not going to do that to you. You're my daughter. You know, but I do think that Angela forgot that when I get mad, I go to my videos. Because that's what I do. I'm going to expose people and their bullshit. Now, Angela, when she decided she was going to go ahead and tell me about this thing with Jesse, I don't think she gave it enough thought. And I don't think that she stopped to think Why would Janessa tell me that? And I've told Angela that I think that Janessa's trying to start shit. Janessa's known for doing that. I guess Angela forgot about all of those years ago when Janessa acted so shitty toward me when we lived on Aztec. Oh, she was just downright shitty to me and yelled and screamed at me. And all the neighbors heard in that little cul-de-sac that she was bawling me out after I had drove her down there to pick up James when she was pregnant with James' baby, Jada. I mean, the lack of appreciation that I put money for gas in my car and drove her all the way down to Cartledge. Is that what it's called? Cartledge? I forget the name. That's not Cartledge. Whatever it is. Cambridge? I don't know. I drove her all the way down there, and I didn't even think about how many miles it was that I was putting on my Caprice. and I don't even know if I ever got a thank you for that. But I did that for Janessa. And the only thanks she can give me is to come back and chew me out. And I even let her and James stay in my place for a while. And I was paying all the bills and buying all the food. And I didn't get any gratification for that. Is that the right word? Gratification? I didn't get any gratitude for that. So, you know, Janessa's always had this in her. And I'm sure that Janessa still holds grudges against me. And I believe, too, that Janessa is friends with people on our opposing side of the family for a reason. I believe that when somebody is playing both sides, you got to remember that we have a president that has just done this. Before the election, he was all about helping Ukraine. After the election, he switched sides right in the middle of this war and goes over to the Russian side and starts supporting Putin. That's called a traitor. So Janessa has always had herself in the position of spy and traitor. So she hands me this thing, and the next thing you know, she's telling Angela to specifically tell me, and this is how Angela said it, she has a request. She wants you to put Jerry's obit up on your sites. But at the same time, look at the timing. Timing is very important. She wants me to put Jerry's obit up on my sites, and then she talks about how I offended Jesse. And my daughter is the one who has to be the deliverer of bad news. Janessa takes this information, she dumps it in my daughter's lap, and my daughter's trying to decide what to do with this information. I don't know if she gave it very much thought, but my daughter just assumed that because I had said I wasn't going to bring Janessa into anything on my videos, on my podcast, that I wasn't going to say anything about my suspicion that she had ulterior motives for bringing this up about Jesse. And it's like I've said on other videos already. That verse in Matthew, you got a problem. It's Matthew chapter 5, verses 23 and 24. If you're bringing your gift to the altar, first you go make peace with your brother, and then you bring back your gift and offer it up to God. Doesn't matter if you're religious. It doesn't matter if you're a believer in the Bible. The Bible is a very good source of good principles and values. The Bible is also full of information about how to manage your money or how to handle a business. And even a physician, wine is good for the stomach. That is medical. So why would she dump this in my daughter's lap if she wasn't looking for some kind of a result. Because we don't know what Janessa is actually saying to family on the other side. We don't know that Janessa actually despises Deanna for wanting to kick Jerry out of Mom's house. We don't know that Jennifer is not communicating with Deanna on the phone or by text on a regular basis. They both knew that Deanna was not going to drop everything in Colorado and come up here just for Jerry's funeral, because everybody knew that Deanna despised Jerry. So it was no big loss that they didn't know. Would Jan have even went to it? Probably not, because they had no love for Jerry, no sympathy. They didn't care if he lived or died. So for Janessa to have to be playing both sides like that, you can't serve two masters, okay? You're either going to hate one or love the other, or you're going to serve one and despise the other. You can't serve two gods, and you can't be fair on both sides. Not with a war like we've got going in our family. Janessa set us up. I believe that Janessa was using this situation to try to alienate my daughter and I. I really do believe that. My daughter told me I was delusional for thinking this. I'm a critical thinker. I take things and I pick it apart, and I don't leave a stone unturned, and I do not pretend, and I don't put anything past anybody. I think that she let Angela decide whether or not she should tell me about Jesse and this problem. But Angela didn't stop to think. I like to use this as an illustration, back to back. This is hand to hand, but it's an illustration I use in my own personal thinking. Two people's backs are against each other, so it's back to back. So you've got one thing and you've got another thing, and I came up with this myself, by the way. So she had this dilemma of, if I tell my mom, is she going to put this on her podcast? So this was something that Angela had to decide. Janessa didn't want to tell me herself. Jesse didn't want to tell me himself. They dumped this in Angela's lap so that Angela looked like what? Angela's delivery wasn't very good when she was telling me about this, because she did nothing but discipline and scold me the whole time. The whole time we've been talking about it, all she has done is scolded me and put me down, and she claims that nobody's scolding you, nobody's disciplining you, but yet that's what she was doing the whole time. From the time she brought it up to the time we stopped talking about it, and I got that text from Angela of Janessa's forward message saying that she couldn't apologize to Jesse like I requested because Jesse didn't know that she had told Angela. Jesse had no idea that Janessa had passed this on to us and that it was about to get back to me. It goes back to this verse. If you've got a problem with somebody, and you know what? I happen to have the right to view it from this perspective, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, I have the right to view it from this perspective, and I always have. And what they don't like is that I'm calling them out on it. They don't like it that I'm right. I got